Since I want to complete my lecture on Laputa today, I'll also talk about Nadia. When we made Nadia, the secret of blue water, I was in charge of all the settings of blue water. I came up with its detailed settings, but some of those initial settings didn't fit the plot as production progressed. That's when I told the director, Ano, that he could change the setting however he wanted. But when Ano ran out of ideas, he would come back to me and ask, "What was your setting again?" And I'd explain to him, and he'd use the setting he liked for the plot. So I'm going to explain the first settings of blue water that I originally made. Now, Nadia was a Miyazaki ripoff project that came after Laputa. It sounds a bit harsh, but the truth is, NHK showed us their whole project called A Journey Around the World Under the Sea and said, "Make this into anime." We saw it and we're like, "This is like Laputa." But since it was an order, we had to make up settings to make it work. So we came up with an item called Blue Water, which was a relic of ancient Atlantis. It's the initiator and energy source of the Tower of Babel and all other relics that come out in Nadia. So what is blue water? Well, it's not material. It's actually a program. It's information, but because the amount of information is so large, it has a volume, texture, and visual mass as a result. The reason why it has mass, volume, and texture is because there's too much information in it. I mean too much information by all the information of the Earth from its birth to the present day, including all locations of every single atom. It's a recording device. One blue water can replicate everything from the entire Earth, animals and plants, every person born until today, and all civilizations they have created. And that's an enormous amount of information. That's why it has substance, at least in our dimension. That was the setting. So, if you see up close, you can see numerous detailed patterns engraved on blue water. They indicate that if you look at it that close, then you can see the first layer of the inner structure. Below it are 10 more hidden layers, but in the physical world, we can only see up to the first layer. Now, getting to the important point. The enemy called Gargoyle, who is the leader of Neo-Atlantis, can't understand what blue water actually is, even up until his death in the end. He's not the only one though, because Captain Nemo can't understand what it is either. And perhaps the director, Ano, also couldn't understand it completely, even though I tried my best to explain it to him. The characters in the anime steal blue water from each other, but that's pointless, because it's just a recording device. No one can use it, even if someone steals it. Since Nadia is a tribute to Laputa, you can see something similar to the castle in the sky, and that is the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel is portrayed as a laser beam weapon. The other one is Red Noah. That appears as one of the relics. Also, the new Nautilus. These are equivalent to the castle in the sky in Laputa. But there's something mysterious about Red Noah that appears toward the last episode of Nadia. That is, it doesn't have an ability to travel between planets. It flies over the Earth after Neo-Atlantis was revived, but it doesn't go any higher than that. It's because it can't. And that's because it's just a shuttle between the Earth and orbiting satellites. Then, what's the Tower of Babel? In the anime, because it has objects orbiting around it, like reflecting satellites, it looks like a weapon at a glance. But it's not. It's just a laser communicator. But because the output of the communicator is so big, it can turn into a weapon when it's used against the Earth. But it's only a communicator. It's a huge communicator that can reach up to several hundred to 1,000 light years away. It's merely a convenient device that transmits energy to anywhere on the Earth through the reflecting satellites in orbit. Although they don't come out in the anime, there were people called Atlantinians who arrived from planet Atlantis in the far past, passed on their technology to the human race, and developed ancient Atlantis civilization. They used the Tower of Babel to communicate with their home. But why is there such a misunderstanding? For example, we have a thing called a microwave oven. Its concept was accidentally discovered during a military radar test in the US. I think it was right after the end of World War II. When a man called, what was his name? Percy. Something was standing in front of the radar. A chocolate bar in his pocket melted. He was like, what the hell just happened? And that led to the discovery. So the microwave was originally a radar, but later they found out that you could cook with it, and that's how the microwave was invented. Well, I heard they first made popcorn with it. Both Gargoyle and Captain Nemo are like those people who couldn't understand what a radar did. So instead, used it as a microwave oven. Therefore, the Tower of Babel is a communication channel between the Earth and planet Atlantis, 100 light years away. Although, after it's launched, it's used as a weapon. Now, there was an idea for the last episode of Nadia where Atlanteans, our gods, descend to us at the present time, which was 1991 back then. That was my idea. We had many different ideas like pattern A, B, C, and so on, but they were all turned down. Anyway, my initial idea about the setting was, so the ocean was part of the world that people in the 19th century still had a longing for, since it was yet to be explored back then. But contemporary people like us cannot see the ocean in the way those people did. That's why my initial plan was to have our audience encounter something new in the last episode. And I think the same idea is applied to Laputa. That is, Muska thinks Indra's arrow is a weapon of destruction that destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was something similar to a microwave oven. Now, let's move on to the fifth technology in Laputa, which is the castle in the sky itself.